Ruthless biker kicked a dog for fun, unaware Big Shaq is the owner. Big Shaq was never the type to brag about his success off the basketball court. Sure, everyone knew him from his Los Angeles Lakers days, towering on the hardwood, dominating the paint. But few knew of his quieter passions. One of these was a gentle German shepherd named Zeus, a loyal companion Shaq had rescued from a local shelter. Their bond was unbreakable. On a warm Sunday morning, Shaq decided to bring Zeus to a small local fair on the outskirts of town. Stalls sold homemade crafts, kids played ring toss, and the smell of fresh kettle corn wafted in the breeze. Eager families wandered about, enjoying a perfect day in the sun. Shaq, dressed casually in jeans and a loose-fitting hoodie, blended in surprisingly well for a man of his stature. He only wanted to explore a bit, let Zeus get some exercise, and enjoy the carefree atmosphere. They strolled near a booth selling fresh lemonade. Zeus wagged his tail, sniffing the grass. Shaq paused, chatting briefly with a child who shyly admired the dog. Moments later, an abrupt shift in the crowd's energy caught his attention. Whispers rippled, and heads turned toward a nearby cluster of motorcycles lined up like gleaming chrome beasts. A half-dozen bikers had arrived, each clad in leather vests and bristling with attitude. Shaq had met plenty of kind-hearted riders before, but something about this crew felt different. Their loud voices and dismissive gestures toward nearby families suggested a more hostile edge. The fairgoers gave them a wide berth. Zeus, curious by nature, flicked an ear toward the noise but remained at Shaq's side. Shaq gently led Zeus away, wanting to avoid conflict. But just as they were about to head toward a pet supply stall, a chilling shout tore through the air. "Get out of my way, mutt!" Then came a yelp, Zeus's yelp. One of the bikers, a tall, sneering man with a jagged scar across his cheek, had delivered a swift kick to the unsuspecting dog. Time seemed to slow. Zeus tumbled sideways, whimpering in pain. People gasped, stepping back in shock. The biker laughed harshly as if amused by the dog's distress. Shaq's heart pounded. He hurried to Zeus, who was struggling to regain footing, confusion in his brown eyes. The fair seemed to freeze. Children clutched their parents' legs while stall owners stared, uncertain how to react. Shaq placed a calming hand on Zeus, checking for injury. A raw mix of anger and concern welled inside him. "Hey," Shaq said evenly, looking up at the biker. "What's your problem?" The biker responded with a taunting smirk. "Problem? None at all," he jeered. "Maybe keep your mutt on a tighter leash around him." His friends cackled, enjoying the scene. Shaq rose slowly, dwarfing the biker. The man, by a solid foot, trembled with controlled rage. "He wasn't bothering you. You had no right." The man, unconcerned, spat on the ground. "I do what I want. Dogs shouldn't get in my way." Someone in the crowd recognized Shaq then, letting out a hushed, "Oh my gosh, that's Shaquille O'Neal." A ripple of realization spread, but the biker seemed oblivious or just didn't care. Without raising his voice, Shaq locked eyes with the attacker. "That dog is family to me." A flicker of uncertainty passed across the biker's face. Maybe he sensed the shift in the crowd's mood. Still, he played tough. "Family or not, get it away from me," he said, flexing his shoulders, clearly inviting confrontation. Shaq felt a surge of adrenaline. Memories of the courts flashed through his mind, but he had long since learned not to solve every problem with force. Yet, the desire to protect Zeus roared within him. "Apologize," Shaq said quietly, though his tone rang like a command. The biker scoffed, glancing at his buddies for backup. They snickered, fueling his bravado. "Apologize," he sneered. "For what? Kicking a worthless dog?" People gasped. Zeus let out a shaky bark, still anxious but now leaning against Shaq's leg for support. A local fair security guard, short and slightly panicked, rushed over, radio in hand. "Sir, is everything all right here?" he asked, eyes darting between Shaq and the biker. The biker turned on the guard. "You want to make something of it, little man?" But the guard stood firm. "We don't allow violence here. You'll have to leave." The biker glared, about to retort, when two of his friends stepped up, ready for trouble. Tension soared. A woman in the crowd phoned the local police, whispering urgent details. Suddenly, Shaq let out a slow exhale. He placed himself between the bikers and the security guard. Even though the bikers clearly had the advantage in numbers, Shaq's towering presence carried weight. "You heard him," Shaq said. "This isn't a place for fights. Leave." The ringleader's lip curled, but he seemed to notice how the crowd had turned against him. Perhaps at last he realized who exactly he was dealing with. Another hush fell as the man stared up at the famed NBA legend, the realization gradually dawning that he had kicked Shaquille O'Neal's dog. For a beat, he looked panicked. Then, to save face, he spat a lame, "This place is lame anyway." Barking at his buddies, he revved his motorcycle. The others followed suit, engines roaring to mask any embarrassment. Within moments, they screeched away, leaving the fairgrounds in a swirl of dust and disdainful glares. The security guard let out a breath, muttering thanks to Shaq. Several onlookers clapped or voiced relief. One child came over, eyes wide with admiration, exclaiming, "You protected your dog like a superhero?" Shaq ruffled the kid's hair, offering a gentle grin. Zeus, though still rattled, seemed physically okay. Shaq bent low, giving him a thorough check. Apart from a bruise and trembling nerves, the shepherd appeared unharmed. A veterinarian in the crowd stepped forward, volunteering to do a quick exam. After carefully feeling around Zeus's legs and ribs, the vet nodded. "No broken bones." "He's a lucky boy," she said softly. Shaq stood, cradling his dog's chin. "We appreciate that," he told the vet, "and thanks to everyone for your concern." He realized that had the situation escalated, it could have ended far worse for both dog and man. The fair resumed its lively hum, though the mood was subdued by what had just happened. Some folks approached Shaq, praising him for his calm handling of the confrontation. Shaq, never one to brag, just said, "I did what anyone would." Yet inside, he felt a swirl of relief and anger he was working hard to set aside. Before leaving, the fair's organizer rushed up to apologize profusely. "We've never had trouble like that before," she insisted. "We'll increase security, I promise." Shaq nodded, trusting she'd do her best. People deserved a peaceful environment. Gently guiding Zeus away from the scene, Shaq made his way toward the parking lot. The sun was setting now, painting the sky a mix of purple and orange. Softly he murmured, "It's okay, boy. We're safe." The dog pressed closer to his leg as though understanding every word. Shaq carefully lifted Zeus into his SUV, giving him a treat from the glove compartment. He patted the dog's side. "You're strong, buddy," he said. "Stronger than that fool who tried to hurt you." In the driver's seat, Shaq paused, reflecting on the day's events. He'd come to the fair just wanting an afternoon out, but ended up defending his dog from a ruthless biker. The memory of that man's smirk and cruel kick gnawed at his mind. Shaq gripped the wheel, exhaling slowly. For a moment, he considered calling the police, but realized the crowd had likely already provided statements to fair security. If needed, he'd be ready to cooperate. As the engine purred to life, Shaq decided a quiet drive home with Zeus was the best plan. They'd stop by a friend's place, someone with a big backyard, so Zeus could unwind. The dog deserved it. Later that night, social media buzzed with phone videos capturing the confrontation. Many praised Shaq's calm approach, while others condemned the biker's cruelty. Shaq, scrolling through his phone, felt no satisfaction in the viral attention. He just hoped it might discourage others from senseless cruelty. In the following days, local news reported that the biker gang, identified by their unique patches, had caused multiple disturbances around town. The city council began discussing stricter measures against violent behavior at public gatherings. This small incident might spark broader change, ensuring families and pets could safely enjoy fairs and festivals. As for Shaq and Zeus, life returned to normal. The dog's bruise healed quickly, and any trauma eased with gentle care. Shaq continued his routine workouts, appearances, and philanthropic efforts. But from then on, whenever he took Zeus out, he kept a watchful eye. He knew not everyone valued animals as deeply as he did, yet he refused to let fear overshadow life's simple joys. In the end, the ruthless biker's act of cruelty backfired spectacularly. He found himself identified on video and faced a wave of public backlash that followed him wherever he went. Meanwhile, Big Shaq and Zeus came away with deeper trust in each other. They'd faced a threat, and together they stood tall, reminding everyone that compassion and loyalty always triumph over cruelty. Let me know if you'd like further refinements.